This time we're using a Bensonwood marketing piece, and we're going to try and recreate something similar to this. We're going to change a few things to make it a little easier with the materials we have readily available. But we got an inside finish, we've got a surface layer, we've got vapor, we've got OSB, then we've got our framing, which we're going to use 2x8s. Then we've got another weather barrier, rain screen, 3/4 inch, but that's outside of our, think of it like a zip system. It's a 1 9/16 inch thick. That's a combo of sheathing and insulation. And then we'll do a custom cladding. So we're going to start with the same roof template, because the first one we're going to do is going to reveal the different materials, and then we'll move on to a second project where we're doing a 2-story wood frame house. So I'm going to come into my level 0 here, and I've already made this wall. I called mine Bensonwood wall. I started by just picking one of these other ones that has layers, and I duplicated it and renamed it. Let me show you exactly what is in this one. So if I come into edit type, you can see I'm using cherry for now. We'll actually do our own clapboard in the next model. But for this project and for our 3D view, we want some sort of finish, air gap where the furring strips will go, sheathing, again that's that 1 9/16 inch. Since we're going with 2x8s, that's actual dimension is 7 1/4. For this we're going to use insulation because we're going to be opening it up, but for the main project we'll probably leave that as air and just do our insulation as a component model in place. 1/2 inch sheathing, 1 1/2 inches more of insulation. This is where we're going to put some 2x4s attached to our main framing, and then another 1/2 inch of gypsum board. All right. So I'm just going to come here from level 0 up to level 10. I'm going to be in line with this, and let's just do a little 24-foot section. So this is what we've got. It looks pretty funky as a wall. I am going to come in back to level 0. Let's see. Yeah. So as long as we're on fine level of detail, we can see what we need. Because what we want is to start our framing in between these materials and these materials. So this will be where our bottom plate goes, our double top plate, and all our vertical stuff. So I'm going to come and do structure. I'm going to go to beam. And let's see here. Yeah. So I want a bottom plate that's a 2x8. Unfortunately, these are all vertical. So I'm going to have to edit this. I'm going to duplicate it. And since it's the same direction, whether it's a bottom or top plate, I'm just going to name it bottom top plate. And I just need to flip these. So this top number becomes 7 1/4. And this becomes 1 1/2. Alright, so now you can see right now the justification for the Z, which is the height, is top of the board. That will put it below our wall. So I'm just going to switch this to the bottom of the board. I'm going to try and hopefully lining it up with this. It's a little bit off. That's okay. So I'm going to come into my, let's go with my west view. And make sure I'm on fine detail again. That's weird. And it's just showing it as the whole wall here. So let me try first breaking it into parts. So I'm going to come into my 3D and I'm going to say create parts. Looks like it's slightly off. So if I come into my west, now that I have parts, I'm going to make them visible. And now I can see where it's at. I just want to use my modify. I'm going to use the align. I'm going to pick where I actually want it to be and then move it over. Alright, so rather than redraw and remove, I'm going to try copying this. And I'm going to unconstrain it because otherwise it will want to be side to side only. Snap it there. Great. Now I'm going to click copy again. I'm going to unconstrain it. Alright, we've got a bottom plate and a double top plate. Let's see how we look here. Yeah, we're fine, except, alright, these are currently glulam, which is just going to show up as gray. We want to change them to softwood. Hopefully it does it for all of them. Nope, I'm going to have to do it one by one. That's fine. Alright, I've got part of my framing. Now I want to host a beam system in here. And so for right this second, I'm going to make my life easier by temporarily hiding those 3 parts. Because I want to host it with this face. So I'm going to come into structure, beam system, and I want to change my fixed distance to, we're going to do this actually 2 feet on center, which is a little different, but again we're going with the Benson wood. And I want to change this to regular 2x8. And now I want to set my work plane. I want to pick it. Click OK. I'm going to pick the face that's closest to us of this insulation. And now I want to draw my rectangle, and I want it to start at the bottom here. And I want it to end here. But you can see our beams are going to run the wrong direction. So I have to switch the beam direction here. Pick this edge. And then when I click OK, in theory what's going to happen is that they're going to go on the other side of this face we chose. And, okay, that's the problem. So I'm going to click on it again. And I'm going to undo. And I'm going to uncheck non-plane. It's not letting me do that right this second. Let me try this again real quick. I'm just going to hit cancel. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to make my life easier. I'm going to show the shape handles for this. And I'm going to make it go below. And above. That's not quite right, so I'll use my align tool, or not. There we go, now it's snapping. now it's easier to see the boundary for it. So I'm going to come back into structure, beam system. I'm going to uncheck non-planar now before I do anything else. I'm going to change this to 2 feet. I'm going to change it to the 2x8s. I'm going to set my work plane. Pick that plane. And I'm going to draw my boundary from here to here. Change my beam direction again. All right, and now this time around we'll see how the beams show up. That's what we wanted. So the non-planar part was rotating the boards. So now they're in here. We'll have to come in and divide these in a bit so that we won't have this weird graphic stuff. But before we do that, I want to unhide all these other bits. All right. We are going to try, so far we've only divided parts using reference planes. We're going to try something different. If you are a very particular individual and you want all of your shapes to line up with each other, I would start with model lines and use an offset. So I'll show that. Your other option is just to freeform it for each part if you want to change the shape you're doing. So I'm going to just come in first to architecture, model line. I am going to check my reference plane because right now it's on that furthest in. Part is part is part. It doesn't really know that that's the installation and not the furthest one out. So I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to pick this furthest one out. And the important bit when you're doing this is it needs to extend beyond your actual object. So I'm going to kind of come up here, just draw a somewhat random shape. Whoa. And with spline, it's just going to keep going. So I'm just going to click again, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now it's there. Now I can say pick line, give myself an offset. Let's try 1 foot. 1 foot might not be enough. We'll see. And I don't remember exactly how many elements we have to deal with, but I'm just going to show these for now. I'll click OK, that I'm done with that. All right. Oh, it's still on beam system. Okay, that's fine. I'll cancel that. I don't know why it went back to beam system. I'm going to come back to model line. Now I'm going to say pick line. And I'm going to do the offset again. It's giving me some weird message here. Not 100% sure why. That's fine. So I got 4 model lines now. If I pick this outside one and I say divide parts, I can now say edit sketch. I'm going to set the plane again, and I'm going to do this just to make sure every time I'm on the correct one that I want. So I'm going to pick this furthest one out. Now I'm going to say pick line, and since this is my furthest one out, I'm going to go with my lowest one so that I can stagger my layers. I'm going to click OK. It's not going to look like it's done anything. I'm going to click OK again. And it hasn't done anything. So oh, maybe I picked the wrong reference plane. Or maybe if I come to my front view, does it actually go beyond? Yeah, it goes beyond both. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to click my part. I'm going to divide parts, edit sketch. I'm going to pick my reference plane, make sure it's the same one. I'm going to say pick line, and I'm going to use this. And now, exact same process, Revit decided to cooperate. So now I can just pick this part, and I can hide it. Now I can do the next bit. All right, we've got this insulation here. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to say divide parts, edit sketch. I need to set my reference plane, so I'm going to use pick plane. I'm going to say pick line, and I'm going to do the next one. I'll click OK. It'll look like nothing's happened. Click OK again, but it actually worked. So you're going to do that over and over until everything is revealed. Once you get to this insulation, we're going to need some, for whatever's revealed, we're going to need to add some reference planes so that we can use the shape handles and make them sit inside. But we've already done that, so I'm going to try and keep this video short just to show the process. And when you're done, all your materials will be visible. The insulation in between will be split so that you can see the framing members, and we'll see all the way through to this cherry on the other side. All right, next one we're going to do is we're going to start this two-story wood framed house.